Podcasts have become harder and harder to get off. I mean, this is a Monday episode that turned into Tuesday, that turned into Wednesday. I'm definitely doing it Thursday, and I still didn't get it done until Friday. Unbelievable. But which means I just got a week's worth of shit to talk to you guys about. And I told you guys I'm really petty. You guys know that if you follow me on social media. Um, when I do the work, you're going to get the show. Like, I'm not gonna do a whole show and then not do it. Like, I'm not gonna outline everything I want to talk about and then not talk about it. So you're gonna get a full week's worth of show. So enough talking. This is the big 300. The Louie T Network podcast turns 300 today. So let's get the festivities started. You know what it is. The Louie T Network podcast starts now. Who else could it be but me, your man, Louie T? Welcome to the 300th installment of the Louie T Network podcast. I, of course, am your set man, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Man, it's been a long time since number one all the way to 300. Always when I hit that next 100, it's always a chance to stop and reflect, because I don't do that very often. My wife gets on me about not reflecting, not enjoying the ride, so to speak. I do enjoy the ride on certain things, but I think females are a lot different than guys in this respect. And I shouldn't even say that, because not all females are wired the same way. But you know, my wife wants me to stop and smell the flowers for every single thing, acknowledge every single milestone that I hit, even if it's really small. And I'm like, nah, that's really not my thing. Like, if it's a really small milestone, I see it. I know it's there, but I don't need to stop to acknowledge it and really bask in it. I save that for the big ones. But 300 is another 100 in the books. Feels good. Anyway, I digress. What's going on with y'all on this beautiful Friday afternoon, evening, morning, night, wherever you are, whenever you're listening to this? We got a lot to discuss, so I'm not going to delay. Let's get straight to the proceedings this evening. There's so many things that I want to talk to you about, and I don't want to run out of time because I don't want this pod to drag on. So with that said, we will jump right into the proceedings this evening. And you know what that means. We're going to start with a gem dropping session. Let me drop this gem on your melon. Open your mind, let your conscience be free. Let's try that again. That's what happens when you don't do the pod in a few days, right? Or more like a week. Open your mind, let your conscience be free. You're now rolling with your man, Louie T double E. Let me open you up. Get you thinking a little bit. Now that's better. That's more like it. All right. Sometimes you just got to get back on the bike and ride. So your team could win the Super Bowl this year. Your team could win the chip. That's not an exaggeration. I'm not bullshitting you. Now, not everybody's team can win the chip this year. Let me specify that. You got to make the playoffs first, right? Like, if you're the Detroit Lions, if you're the Chicago Bears, probably not making the playoffs this year. Green Bay Packers, probably not making the playoffs this year. So your team can't win the chip. But if you're hovering around 500, if you're at 500, if you're above 500, shit, throw your name in the hat. You got a shot. Why not? Why not you? Let me explain myself. This year is unlike any other year that I can remember in recent memory, because there's always been a quarterback or two or three or four or five that is standing in the way of you getting ultimately to where you want to go, especially if you're in the NFC. In the AFC, it's a little bit different. We'll talk about that in a second. But specifically, if you're in the NFC, this shit is as wide open as it's been. There is no Drew Brees. There is no Aaron Rodgers this year. There is no Russell Wilson. There is no, there isn't even a Matthew Stafford standing in your way this year. Okay. There's none of that this season. Okay. Literally, if you make it to the playoffs, you got a chance to make it all the way to the championship game. And once that happens, all bets are off. Who thought that the Cincinnati Bengals were going to the Super Bowl last year? Raise your hand. Nobody's got their hands up because nobody thought. Bengals fans were just happy to be in the playoffs. Bengals fans were just happy to beat the Raiders. Bengals fans probably thought they had a chance to beat the Titans, but they weren't sure. They didn't think they were going to beat the Chiefs. And when they were down 21-3 in that game, they definitely didn't think they were beating the Chiefs. All you got to do is get in. But in the NFC, you're looking at Jalen Hurts, Kirk Cousins, Dak Prescott, Daniel Jones, Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, these are the quarterbacks. Now, there's still Tom Brady. I didn't mention him for a reason earlier because there's still Tom Brady. But even Thomas Brady isn't Thomas Brady this year. That offense isn't the same. It's not coached by the same coach. It's a different group, and they look different. They play different. It's not the same. They are different. There's no Gronk. That's a different team in Tampa Bay. Now, they've still got 7 weeks of football to figure it out, to get on track, to get on one accord, to figure out what works best for them. And they're still dangerous because they still have Thomas Brady under center. But it's open, man. I just gave you the quarterbacks in the NFC. You just got to get in. If you're Washington, if you're Atlanta, and it's a little bit tougher when you've got Marcus Mariota and the way that they play, it's a little bit tougher. There's not enough there, I don't think. But hell, why not? Styles make fights. The beauty of the playoffs, this isn't the NBA. It's not NHL. It's not MLB. This isn't a series. You catch somebody on a bad day, you catch somebody on a bad night, it's a wrap for them. You just got to beat them once. You don't actually have to be better than that team. You just got to be better than them on that day. So anybody can win the Super Bowl. Anybody can make it to the Super Bowl. The Eagles can make it to the Super Bowl and win. The Cowboys can make it to the Super Bowl and win. We had a Super Friends stream, and I asked each and every single one of the members on the panel, could their team make it to the Super Bowl and win? Mine was absolutely not. We were 2-4 at the time, and our shit was going nowhere fast. What a difference a month makes, right? Now we're 5-5. We've just beaten the best team in football. Should have beaten the team that was right behind them in the standings in the NFC the week prior to that. So the perception of Washington would be totally different if you've beaten Minnesota and Philadelphia in respective weeks. Think about what that would have looked like. If we're sitting here at 6-4 with the two teams that are leading the conference, you've just defeated both of them in consecutive weeks. Think about what that would have looked like. But we know, we watched the game. We know we had Minnesota on the ropes and we let them off the hook. And we know what we just did to the Philadelphia Eagles. We know we're fully capable of competing with any team. We got to play the 49ers. We got to play the Giants. We got to play the Cowboys again. Every team in the conference that will be in the playoffs, more likely than not, with the exception of Tampa Bay, we would have played them. We know what we look like against them. We know how we stack up and measure against them. Why not? And just about everybody else in the NFC bracket can say the same exact thing. We feel good about our chances. If you're the Eagles, you feel good about your chances against anybody in the conference. Same could be said for the 49ers. Same could be said for the Dallas Cowboys or the New York Giants. Why not us? Why not Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley with that defense? Why not? I can give you reasons why not, but guess what? They're right in the mix. Who's going to stop them? They play the Eagles twice. They play the Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day. We're going to get to see that matchup. They're going to play the Vikings eventually, right? Like, we're going to see the Giants play the Minnesota Vikings. Dallas plays the Vikings this week. The Eagles have already played the Vikings. Now they're a totally different team than they were in week 2 when they played them. But again, shit's open. And a lot of these teams have seen each other. NFC's wide open. AFC, a little different. A little different. I can tell you this. The Chiefs, to me, are still the team to beat out in the AFC. But there are a lot of young guns. There are no young guns in the NFC right now. And Eagles fans might be saying, hey, stop disrespecting Jalen Hurts. We'll see. consistency is one of my biggest measuring sticks. Okay, that's my barometer. Can you continue to do this year in and year out? Okay, I want to see him continue to do this year in and year out. But there's plenty of young guns in the AFC. Right? It's littered. It's loaded. It's Mahomes. It's Herbert. It's Burrow. It's Jackson. You know, I could go on and on and on and on. I mean, they're everywhere in that conference. Allen, right? Like, you got to go through Murderer's Row to get where you ultimately want to go. And honestly, the path of least resistance is what you're looking. So if you get a chance to play the Titans, hey, saddle me up. I don't want any. If I can avoid, the Bills, because only one team's getting the bye week. So if I can avoid the Bills and wild card weekend and I can take the Titans instead, sign me up for that, right? Absolutely. If I'm the Jets, I want no parts of the Bills again. I want no parts of whomever. Give me the Titans if the Jets so happen to make it to the playoffs. Same thing with the Dolphins. I want no parts of the Bills again if they get in and they don't win the division. I want no parts of the Bills. I want no parts of the Chiefs. Let me get at the Titans, okay? Let me get at the Ravens or the Bengals or whoever wins that division. Let me get at them. I'll take my chances. But it's loaded over there. But even still that it's loaded, still wide open. We assumed, and after the first 3 or 4 weeks, who didn't think the Bills looked like the team? They went to Kansas City and beat the Chiefs. They've done it before in the regular season, so it's not a surprise. But who didn't think, Buffalo looks like they're living up to the hype. Remember, they were preseason Super Bowl favorites. And then they come out and they smash the defending Super Bowl champions in their own building, which we didn't know at the time that the Rams were going to suck this year. But they destroyed them 31-10, and they turned it over like 4 times in that game and still beat them by 21 points. We're like, oh, shit, look at Buffalo. Then they go to Kansas City and beat the Chiefs. So you're thinking, yeah, these boys, they're legit. But now they're tripping and stumbling and fumbling all over themselves. They've got some injuries. Josh Allen is banged up a little bit. They're turning the football over left and right. They're making losing plays. And all of a sudden, you're like, man, the Bills are mortal. The Chiefs, they're really good, but they're mortal. Easily could have lost to Tennessee. If Tennessee had Ryan Tannehill at quarterback instead of Malik Willis, I think the Titans beat them last couple of weeks ago on Sunday Night Football. Like, the Chiefs, as good as they are, they're beatable. The Bengals are still trying to figure some shit out. They're not the team that we thought they were going to be, or some of you, I didn't think they were going to be all that great this season. They've had their moments. When they played the NFC South, they've looked like world beaters. When they played everybody else, they've looked regular. And I could go on and on. The most dangerous team, if you want me to be honest with you right now, looks like the Miami Dolphins. They don't know any better. That's the problem with them, is they don't know what playoff ball is about. They've never done it. That it doesn't stop you from having an opportunity. It's just, if you ask me, again, like the Chiefs are pitted against the Dolphins, or the Bills are pitted against the Dolphins in a playoff game, I'm taking a team with experience. They're not going to freak out. Moment's not going to be too big for them. But it's crazy over there. But anybody can win over there too. So I love how it's set up this year. The parity in the league is as great as it's been in quite some time. I mean, seriously, who knows what the hell's going to happen? I still contend that when it's all said and done in the AFC, the Chiefs are going to be more likely than not hosting the AFC Championship game. They'll be hosting it again for what will that be? The 5th straight year? Let's see. They hosted it in 18. They won it all in 19, if I'm not mistaken. They went back to the Super Bowl. They hosted it again in 20, but they lost the Super Bowl that year. They hosted it in 2021, lost to the Bengals. So, yeah, that's 4 years in a row. This would make it 5. I don't see anybody stop. I thought the Bills were going to be the team to stop them. I don't see anybody stopping them. Now that and again, the Titans got the number 1 seed last year. What did they do with it? Absolutely nothing. So even if they somehow manage to weasel their way into the number 1 seed again, because they're 7-3, you can't sleep on them, especially after the performance they turned in last night. We'll talk about that here in a second. I don't expect them to uphold that number 1 seed, but it's open on that side of the bracket. It's even more open on the NFC side. One of the things Washington fans would always say, I don't want to go to the playoffs. We're not going to do anything but get there and get slaughtered and lose anyway. And that was true when there was Brady and Rodgers and Breeze waiting on you, like it was in 2020. Like, you weren't going to go anywhere. There was Russell Wilson, there was Aaron Rodgers, there was Drew Brees, there was Tom Brady, all waiting for you in the postseason. What were you going to do? You were going to run into one of those 4 quarterbacks and you were going to get smoked. We ran into Brady and we got smoked. That's not the case this year. You get in, and even if you run into Brady, you're not scared anymore. You're not shivering when you see Brady and the Bucs coming. And then you're damn sure not scared if you see Jalen Hurts in the Eagles, or Dak Prescott in the Cowboys, or Daniel Jones in the Giants, or Jimmy Garoppolo in the 49ers. You're definitely not afraid if you see one of those quarterbacks, one of those teams. Are you kidding me? Just like none of them would be afraid if they saw us. The fact remains, anybody has a shot this year, especially in the NFC. A little bit tougher in the AFC. Still got some hurdles that you're going to have to overcome over there because there's a lot of talented quarterbacks. Not the case in the NFC. Everybody's open. Everybody's in the game. If you're at or above 500 right now in the NFC, you got a chance to play in the NFC Championship game. I'll leave it at that. Let's go ahead, transition to our next segment. And that is Thursday night leftovers. Before we do that, though, I got to go back and I have to go over week number 10 because it was a hell of a week. And there were some really, really good football games in week number 10. And thus, I feel it is my duty, my obligation to go over week number 10 in the National Football League and just talk about the week that was. So we'll do this as quickly as possible, because nobody cares about week 10 anymore. It's Friday. We've played a week 11 game already. I get it. I understand. But I told you, I did the work already. So you're going to get this, this work essentially. All right. Over in Germany, first game played over in Germany in the history of the NFL. Bucks and Seahawks. Bucks prevailed 21-16. It wasn't the cleanest of games for Brady and company, but they get it done. They jumped out to a 14-0 lead in this game. It was 21-3. They were dominating at one point, and then they decided to get cute, try to throw a pass to Brady out of the backfield. It was weird. He slips down. The surface was terrible. It's always terrible when you go to these European countries to play a football game, because these are soccer fields you're playing on essentially. And so the turf is always slick. These guys are always falling all over the place. I don't think they ever go over there and wear the right cleats to play on these fields. And so you see guys slipping all up. Brady wasn't going to catch the ball. The defender was standing right there. Like, what was Brady going to do? Go up and moss on, the rookie corner that's 6'4"? Yeah, right. Anyway, Julio Jones finally made a play. Catches a shallow cross and takes it all the way into the end zone. I don't know what the Seahawks were doing defensively on that play in particular. But the real story here was Rachaad White, the rookie running back for the Buccaneers. There was a lot made of Leonard Fournette's comments complaining about not getting the ball enough. And I don't know if Todd Bowles said, "Oh, yeah, you're not getting the ball enough? All right, well, okay, how about this? We'll sit your ass down." I don't know if it had anything to do with that, or if they just, wanted to give the young fella some more looks. But Rachaad White, 22 carries, 105 yards. And damn it if he didn't look good. He looked extraordinary in this game. I mean, he really looked the part. I was really critical of the selection. They took him in like the third round out of Arizona State. I was like, this is a little early for him. And damn it, if he didn't look good in this game. I was really impressed, thoroughly impressed. Geno Smith, you want to talk about impressed? I was impressed with Geno Smith in this game. He got hit a lot. He stood in there, took the shots, delivered the football. Like, this shit isn't a fluke anymore. Like, I was one of those people that just kept waiting for the Geno Smith shoe to drop. Like, okay, this shit is cute. Geno, all right, the jig's up, Geno. We got you, Geno. We got you. Go ahead and put your hands behind your back, Geno. We're taking you into custody. All right. And we're going to pull the mask off and we're going to go, Russell Wilson. Nah, this is actually Geno Smith. Geno's out here playing ball, man. Like, all of those years of sitting behind actual good quarterbacks has rubbed off on Geno Smith. Like, through osmosis, he's taken bits and pieces from all these quarterbacks that he sat behind, and he's actually good now. It's crazy. Never would have thought, never would have guessed. But it wasn't good enough in this particular game, but it wasn't because of Geno Smith. All right. Seahawks are now 6-4 with the loss, but they still lead the NFC West. I'm still not sold on the fact that they're going to make the playoffs. I still think the 49ers are going to come back, take that division from them, and they could easily not make the playoffs if they're not careful, but I don't think they're going away. Like, I'm selfishly, because the NFC East is so good, I want them to be the first division in history to have all 4 teams make the playoffs. And the Seahawks and the 49ers are standing in the way of that, because if either one of those teams doesn't fall back and they keep playing good football, both of them, one of them is going to make the playoffs, and it's going to stop somebody else from making the playoffs more likely than not. So we'll see. Seattle's the team I'm eyeballing, like, yo, you don't really belong here. Like, you should go right now. You should go. And they're like, why? First of all, watch how you talk to me. I'm 6-4. You're 5-5. I'm like, touche. All right. I can't say anything to that. And he's like, and by the way, we beat the Giants already, who's the second best team in that division. Leave us alone. Okay. I hear you loud and clear. I just don't think you belong here. Like, if there was a multiple choice question, which one of these teams doesn't belong? I'm looking at Seattle and it's like, Geno, come on, dude. And he's like, hey, don't look at me like that. Anyway, Tampa Bay gets the win. They get back to 500. They're going to win that division. It's one of the worst divisions in football, is the NFC South. They're going to win it by default, but we'll see if they can get on their horse, start playing better football, and actually be the credible team in that division instead of, being the best of the worst, which is what they were just a mere 2 weeks ago. So they're now 5-5, and they seem to have somewhat stabilized their season and maybe righted the ship. We will see. You move on to the next game, Bills and Vikings. Oh my stars. What a game this was. So I got to be honest with you. Okay. I cannot tell a lie. We turned away from this game. We had this one on the big TV at my mom and dad's house. We were all watching the games, and we were debating. So when I got there just a shade after 1:15. So the games had already started. And I was disappointed because when I got to the house, they had the Bills and Vikings. We run the PIP game. So, pitcher in pitcher. So one's on, one side and the other's on the other side, and you can hear one, you can't hear the other. And obviously the one with the sound was the Bills and the Vikings. However, the other game was Titans Broncos, and I'm like, what the hell are you doing? All the options that you have at your disposal, and you got Titans and Broncos on the television? What is wrong with you? So we were having this long debate over what should have been on the TV. I had my laptop up anyway, and I had the other, 4 or 5 games that I could squeeze in addition to the 2 that were on the television. But we turned away from this game in the pursuit of a more competitive contest. It was 27-10. The Bills were dominating. It's exactly what I thought was going to happen, because the Commanders had just played the Vikings the week before, and I wasn't impressed. So I expected Buffalo to trample all over these boys, and they were well on their way to doing so. And so I'm thinking they just kicked a field goal to go up 27-10. We immediately turned it after the field goal. Late stages of the third, we're heading into the fourth. They're up 3 scores. This game's in the bag, right? They proceed to give up an 81-yard touchdown run to Dalvin Cook that immediately turned the tide of this ball game and got the Vikings right back in it. And I saw that and I was like, damn, that was quick. Then I saw what happened and I was like, I'm not convinced. So we didn't turn it back quite that, yet. But then once they got the touchdown to cut it to 27-23, I was like, hey, we should go back there. We should go back there. We should go back there. And we did. They missed the extra point. And I'm thinking, all right, they're probably gonna, the Bills are probably gonna, run 4-minute offense, keep this thing away from the Vikings and win this game. They didn't do that. And so the Vikings get the football. They're driving. Then the drive kind of implodes. It's 4th and 18. The Bills got them right where they want them. Kirk throws up a prayer, right? Like, this is a YOLO ball. And the Bills defender is right where he needs to be. And he's being selfish. And me and my dad had this long discussion. I think I told you guys this already. Me and my dad had this long discussion. Boss is screaming that the guy wants the interception. I'm like, dude, this isn't about you. This is like, that's the equivalent of a Hail Mary. Just knock it down, dude. It's 4th and 18. If you pick this off, you're getting the ball further back, which doesn't really matter in this particular instance, because if you pick it off, no matter what, you're taking these, the game's over. But still, just have the presence of mind to understand what is necessary in this particular moment. Just knock the shit down. He was in the perfect position to just jump up there, bat the shit down, and the game's over. Literally, Justin Jefferson only could go up with one hand. He was not in a position to do anything else. Just bat the damn ball down. Instead, he's trying to pick it off, and that allowed Justin Jefferson to make one of the most incredible one-hand catches these eyes have ever seen. Unbelievable that he's able to come down with this ball. Literally takes it away from the Bills defender. With one hand, off balance, falling down, body in this weird configuration, and he snatches it away from the dude. Ball never hits the ground, and I'm awestruck. I'm like, they're going to win this game. This is un-effing believable. And yet, somehow, they get all the way down to the 1-yard line, and they can't get in. And they go for it on 4th down. Obviously, you got to go for it because you missed the extra point. And they get stuffed. Oh, my God. They didn't get in. The Bills have held. They're going to win this game 27-23. This is crazy. What a game. We were shouting, my sister, myself, my dad. We were all shouting, what a game. This is before the madness broke out. What a game. Then you're thinking Josh Allen's out there hard counting, trying to get a free 5 yards because they're literally on the inch-yard line. Okay, they're snapping this thing literally at the inch-yard line. So he's trying to buy 5 yards to give them some breathing room to take a knee. The Vikings aren't going for it. So he has to snap it. And you know what you have to do in this particular instance. You got a quarterback sneak it, right? Just to get it out of your own end zone. I don't know if this changes how teams kind of view that situation when you're in a similar. Do you just go from the shotgun there and throw a pass, right? Just to give you, you're just looking for a quick 3-4 yard completion. Do you spread them out, empty set, have 5 guys run 3 to 5 yard stop routes and just pick one that's open and throw it to them? Does this change the way? Because I don't want to run the football in my own end zone right there. I don't. But obviously the quarterback sneak is the traditional thing that you do there. And Allen is so worried and preoccupied with getting out of the end zone, he forgets the most important thing, securing the snap first. The ball goes through his hands. And in the scrum, I'm thinking there's no way the Vikings have recovered this, though, right? A bill fell on this. No, Eric Kendricks fell on the football. He's in the end zone. And all you see are Vikings players with their arms up. Touchdown, touchdown, touchdown. And I'm just sitting there in disbelief. Are you effing kidding me? Are you serious? Because the thing that I was thinking as the Vikings, after Justin Jefferson caught that pass, I'm thinking, oh my God, the Vikings are going to do this again. They're like the cardiac kids, they find ways to win in the fourth quarter. They did it last week. They've done it all season long. If the game's close, it doesn't matter how much they're down. If the game's close, they're going to find a way to win it in the fourth quarter. And they've, developed this belief in themselves. So after they failed on 4th down, I'm like, yeah, they got stopped. Yeah, they're not getting that shit this time. And then he recovers and you're like, oh my God, they're gonna win the game. So they kick the extra point. They're up 3, and I'm thinking the next thing I go immediately from there to, okay, Josh Allen. I think they had 1 timeout. That's enough time for him. It was like 30 some odd seconds. Let me see exactly. 41 seconds when and I think they had a timeout. I'm like, okay, this is plenty of time for Josh Allen to do these boys and get in the field goal range. And of course he did that. Got it. And that not only did he get in the field goal range, I thought they might have had a shot at the end zone, right? Like they got down to like the 11, 10, 11 yard line. Like they might have a shot at the end zone to beat these boys, but they kicked the field goal, send it to overtime. And the Vikings get the football first. They drive it down the field and they settle for a field goal. Okay. So I'm thinking, well, Josh Allen's going to take them down the field. It's not a matter of if they're going to get in the field goal range. They're going to get in the field goal range. Vikings aren't going to stop them from doing that. Are they going to score a touchdown and win this thing? Because the Vikings drive took up so much of it. This is why I hate these 10-minute overtimes. It's stupid because the Vikings drive took like 6 minutes of the overtime clock. So now the Bills only have like 3 minutes and some change, 4 minutes to go after a touchdown. And it's stupid. They should have had, 8 minutes and some change of regulation or overtime to go and maneuver. Instead, they've essentially almost got to go hurry up. So if you want a touchdown, they move it down the field, though, expeditiously, as we expected. And then Josh Allen makes an inconceivable mistake. And that ball was 3 feet behind the receiver. Like, what are you doing, Josh? Like, there's no way you're fitting that ball in there, and it's behind him. No less. Right to Patrick Peterson. And the Vikings win the game. And I'm just sitting there in disbelief, like, did you really just do that? But at the end of the day, it was one of the best regular season games I've ever seen. It was crazy. And to think I gave up on it with roughly 2 minutes left in the third quarter when the Bills took a 27-10 lead. I gave up on the game. Oh, this game's over. Hey, let's put on the Steelers and the Saints. That's more competitive. What a game that was. The Bills got to get their shit together. They can't keep turning the ball over and doing the things that they're doing to lose ball games. Because when you play better teams like the Vikings, you make those mistakes, you're going to pay for those mistakes. They're now 6-3, I believe the Bills are now. Yeah. And the Dolphins are 6-4 because they haven't had their bye week yet. And the Jets are 6-3 as well. So they're now in the dogfight for that division. And the Patriots, I think they're 5-4, if I'm not mistaken. So they're in a dogfight now. They've messed around and allowed this division to be much tighter than it should be. And oh, by the way, of their 3 losses, 2 have come against teams in the division, in the Jets and the Dolphins, 2 teams that are right behind you, breathing on your neck. So they've made life difficult for themselves. But they've got a stretch of ball coming up against teams that are going to give them a chance to get their mojo back. They've got the Browns this week. They got the Lions the following week. And then you get the Patriots on a Thursday night. And that's going to tell me a lot about this team and whether they're ready to turn it around or not. So that's pretty big. But they got to take care of business against these next 2 teams. These are layups that the NFL has offered up to the Bills to get your shit together. You should be 8-3 after those 2 games and going into that Thursday night game against the Patriots with tons of momentum. Don't F it up. Vikings are now 8-1. What in the hell? You know how everybody earlier in the season, every time the Giants won, this is the worst 4-1 team. This is the worst 5-1 team. This is the worst 6-1 team I've ever seen. This isn't the worst 8-1 team I've ever seen, but it's definitely the luckiest 8-1 team I've ever seen. I'll definitely say that. They're good though. Don't get it twisted. This is a good football team. But are they really like good enough to be 8-1? I don't know about that. But they're going to win their division. They might have that division locked up by next week. That division is so trash. So The Vikings are 8-1. And now that the Eagles have lost, they're tied atop the conference for the number 1 seed. Yes, we can start making those kinds of comments. We're getting to that point of the season where we're starting to talk about jockeying for position. We're in week 11. Crazy, right? Feels like the season just started 4 weeks ago. I know. Wow, what a game. Lions and Bears. You want to talk about another good game? This was another good game. The Bears are scoring points now. Justin Fields is running wild. What are you going to do, brother, when Justin Fields runs wild on you? Well, the Lions said, we're going to find a way to outpoint them by 1. And that's what they did. Justin Fields ran all over this Detroit Lions defense, and it still wasn't enough. It's funny. Me and my dad were talking. My dad was like, I'm telling you, man, this Bears offense is turning lethal because the young kid has figured it out. Because every black quarterback that comes in the league wants to prove that they don't have to run. Everybody wants to come in and show you, I can do more than just run. I can throw the football. Everybody except Lamar. Lamar was like, F that shit. I'm running on your ass. Everybody else is always cognizant of that black quarterback complex. Like, I don't want you to think that's all I can do. Justin said, all right, F this shit. This is the only way I'm going to survive. And hell, if I want to thrive, I had to use my legs. And it's opened up the pass game for him. And now I think it's not only opened up things on the field, it's opened up things off the field in terms of the rest of the organization buying in. Remember, this GM, all right, he didn't draft Justin Fields. This head coach, he wasn't in the war room when they were making a decision on whether Fields was the right guy for the job or not. These guys have no allegiance nor ties to Justin Fields. So when they got there, Ryan Poles was like, hey, I don't know what you think about him, man. And, their head coach, Matt Eberflus, was like, I don't know. I guess we'll find out about the young kid. I'm not sure. And they didn't give him much of anything in the offseason. It's almost like they were trying to set him up for failure. And he overcame the circumstances that they put him in. And then they said, all right, let's go get him a receiver now. He's proven to us that he's worthy. And so they've been on a tear. I think it started with the Vikings in week 6. No, we were week 6. It started with the Vikings in week 5, where they've just been on a tear. I'm going to go back. I'm pretty sure they ran for over 200 yards on the Vikings. They ran for over 200 yards on us in week 6 on a Thursday night. Let's see. Vikings game. They ran for... Okay, so they didn't run for those yards in that game. That's the game where Fields was actually throwing the football. So it started with Washington in week 6, where they just carved us up on the ground. They ran for at least 240. I think it was 243. If it wasn't 243, it was 234. 237 on Washington. All right. Then the next week, remember that Monday night game. The following week's game was a Monday nighter against the Patriots. And that's when Fields and company went off, destroyed the Patriots, and ran to the tune of 243 yards. That's where the 243 came in. Then the Cowboys game, the following week, they racked up 240 on those boys. Then the next week after that, against the Dolphins, they racked up 52 on those boys. And then the Lions game, Fields was just in his bag. He rushed for 147 yards, a career high. He was running all over the place, had a ridiculous run for a touchdown in this game. That was 67 yards. I mean, what he's doing right now, my dad was saying, I've never seen a quarterback in this short period of time run for as many yards. It's crazy because me and my dad, we do this all the time. We'll say some shit, and then they'll say it on TV, or they'll put up a stat that corresponds with what we just said. And as soon as he said that, literally, they put up a caption on the screen. And my dad, I was watching the game on my laptop. He wasn't watching this game, so he had no idea of what was being said. And so they put up a caption: most rushing yards in a 4-game span in NFL history for a quarterback. Justin Fields had like 540 yards rushing in 4 games. Insane, right? Was absolutely carving up. And, I told my dad, I was like, yo, boss, I'm so glad we got our Bears game out of the way, because the way these boys are playing, this shit is dangerous right now. They're scoring points. We wouldn't be able to keep up with them. I mean, they scored 30 in this game. They scored 32 last week. It wasn't enough against the Dolphins, who scored 35. They scored 29 against the Cowboys the week prior to that, 33 against the Patriots. And we got them in a game where they scored 7. Like, that was the last game where they didn't score a lot of points. They've been putting up points like their mind's going bad the last, month of the season. And I just knew that they were going to be able to, and the Lions were coming off an emotional win over the Packers, 15-9. And so it was the perfect storm, but it was just going to be too much Fields in this Bears offense. And it was 24-10. And you're thinking, okay, they got them right where they want them. And even when it was cut to 24-17, I still didn't think the Lions were going to come back and win this game. It wasn't until Justin Fields made that one mistake that he can't afford to make, and he threw a pick 6 to his former college teammate, Jeff Okudah, who ran it back for a touchdown and tied the game up at 24. And at that point, the momentum had fully swung in the favor of the Lions. They took the lead on the following possession, 30-24. Did the Bears, though, on a 67-yard Justin Fields run. And I thought that might be the play that breaks the Lions back. This is a cute comeback. They're playing good football, but that 67-yard run was ridiculous. And they missed the extra point. I'm saying, wonder if that's going to come back to bite them in the ass. With the way the Bears are scoring, maybe not. Maybe they'll kick a field goal, win 33-24. It won't matter. Nope. It came back to bite them in the ass. Lions put together a drive late in this game, score with like less than 2 minutes to go, kick the extra point, of course. Matter of fact, I think they scored with like 15 seconds left or something crazy. Let me see exactly when they scored the last touchdown. 2:21. Okay, it wasn't as bad as I thought. But they kicked the extra point. They go up 1. And can Justin Fields just put them in field goal range? Can he just get them? And he couldn't do it. He could not do it. But the Lions, they've shown resiliency. Dan Campbell just 2 weeks ago was talking about tired of being close, and the fan base was starting to get frustrated with them losing games. And, it was like, oh, is he in trouble? He's on the ropes. And he went rope-a-dope style off the ropes, won 2 in a row against divisional opponents. And all of a sudden now they're heading into this game this week with a ton of confidence on the Lions against the Giants, who, everybody just seems to want to shit on. But this is a dangerous Detroit team going into that game, winners of 2 straight. They're smelling themselves. Meanwhile, the Bears are just kicking themselves because they're 3-7. But they easily could be 6-4 right now. Think about some of the losses. 12-7 to Washington. You got in the red zone 3 times and came away with no points. And think about that. Failed on a 4th down on a run, threw an interception off the helmet of a defender, and then you throw what should have been a touchdown pass to Darnell Mooney. He bobbles it, and then the defender keeps you out of the end zone to preserve the victory. Had a wide open tight end on one of those possessions, and he overthrows him by 3 yards in the end zone. Easily should have beaten Washington, right? Easily could have beaten the Miami Dolphins. They scored 32 points. That's supposed to be able to win you in this league. 9 times out of 10, 32 points is good enough to get you a win. That was the one time that it wasn't. They gave up 35, they lose. And then they had this Lions team. They were up 14 in the second half, 24-10. They were up 30-24 with 9 minutes to go, and they blew it. They could easily be 6-4, but they're 3-7. They're a dangerous team. Lions are 3-6. Those are 2 teams that they're dangerous. Moving forward, if you have to play either one of these 2 teams, with the way the Bears are playing with confidence, they're dangerous. And with the Lions starting to believe in themselves and finding ways to win instead of finding ways to lose, they're becoming dangerous too. I'm glad my team, even though we already lost to Detroit, I'm glad my team has played both of these teams and doesn't have to play them moving forward, because they're all of a sudden dangerous. This is a really fun game to watch, but the Bears somehow managed to come out losers in that game, 31-30. Denver at Tennessee. I don't want to spend a lot of time on this game because these two teams offensively were challenged in this game. The Titans were a far cry from. That's why I didn't pick them, because they look like this. They've looked like this all season long. That's why I didn't pick them on Thursday night. And then they erupted for 27 points, which is ridiculous for them. Nick Westbrook-Akina had 2 touchdown grabs, including a flea flicker on a 63-yarder that gave Tennessee the lead for good in the game, 14-10. They ultimately tack on a field goal, win the game 17-10. But early on, Denver was up 10-0. They had a little, bust in coverage and a 66-yard touchdown pass to a guy I'd never heard of, in Jalen Virgil down the sideline. He was wide open, and I'm thinking, did I make the wrong decision? Is Denver really going to come off this bye week after beating Jacksonville over in London and win and beat Tennessee? Did I make the wrong decision? No, I didn't. They're the same old bees, same old Broncos. Ain't shit changed. Still offensively challenged, still incapable. And then, a report came out that Russell Wilson is making checks and audibles using the Seahawks terminology, which is confusing all of the Broncos players. Like, what the hell is he talking about? And so there's a lot wrong. They got to figure that shit out in Denver, man. Like, you just paid this man all this money. You can't afford to not be on one accord. And so they got to figure that shit out. But this was Tannehill's first game back from the ankle injury that he has sustained. And he got it done. It wasn't pretty. But like always with the Tennessee Titans, it was gritty. And most importantly, it was a dub. 17-10. Titans left that game 6-3. They won again last night. They're now 7-3. We'll talk about that in a second. Excuse me. Denver 3-6, and they suck. Jacksonville at Kansas City. The Kansas City Chiefs. 27-17 final score in this game. Mahomes throws 4 touchdown passes. This is the thing that makes playing garbage teams scary, is they got nothing to lose. You know how Jacksonville opened this game? With a damn onside kick that worked. I mean, who does that? When you're 3-6 and you got nothing to lose, that's what you do on the road. You kick an onside kick. The Chiefs weren't expecting that. They recover it. And then in typical bad football team fashion, you get a break. You create a break. I don't want to say you get a break. They created a break, and then they give it right back. Trevor Lawrence throws a dime to Christian Kirk on a 3rd down that would have put them at like the Chiefs' 22-yard line, and he drops it. And so they ended up having to punt. I mean, so Jags-like, right? But, I mean, they hung in this game. They were down 20-0 in this game, were the Jags. And they were on the verge of getting their asses whooped. And then they ran off 10 straight, made it competitive, and they had an opportunity to make it 20-14. They actually scored and then had a penalty negate the touchdown. And they ended up having to settle for a field goal. And their kicker missed some kicks in this game. He missed a field goal. I think he missed 2 field goals and an extra point. And it really put them in a tough spot. But nonetheless, this Chiefs offense is so dangerous because they've got and this is what I said, they've got so many weapons now. And think about this. They just are breaking in Kadarius Toney. He was nasty. He was filthy in this game. Had a tiptoe touchdown with nobody around. I don't even know what the hell the Jags were doing on defense. Like, literally, Mahomes looks to his left, then looks to his right, and is like, oh, shit. And just flicks it out there. And there's nobody within 10 yards in any direction of Kadarius Toney. But the ball, like, Mahomes panics and just throws it out there. So he catches it, and it's trying to take him out of bounds. So he's got to jump, because if he tries to get his other foot down, it might take him out of bounds. So he just hops on one foot all the way into the end zone for the score. He's returning punts. He had one catch where he broke like 2 dudes off, and you're like, oh, that's nasty. He's going to be a problem for them. They've just got so many weapons. I don't even think Mecole Hardman played in this game. Like, without him, there's still Kadarius Toney. There's still Juju Smith-Schuster. He got hurt in this game, left with a concussion. Marquez Valdez Scantling. Obviously, you've still got Travis Kelce. They've got Noah Gray. They've got all these tight ends. Like, they're loaded, man. What they've got on offense it's ridiculous. They're 7-2, and I think they're the best team in the AFC right now. But we will see. Jags are 3-7. They're going to continue to fight. I'll just say this: Trevor Lawrence, he's going to be good. There's a lot of Jaguars fans that are thinking about quitting on the kid, and you know how it is. We talked about this last night on the show about how the environment that's created by social media is one of instant gratification. And if you're not good instantly, you're a bust. A lot of people are ready to throw Trevor Lawrence in the trash already, and it's ridiculous. I think what happened too with Lawrence is there was this generational tag placed on him. Like, he's like Andrew Luck. He's a clean prospect. And I never felt that way about him. I thought he's a really strong prospect, but he wasn't Andrew Luck. He wasn't Joe Burrow as a prospect. I think that's where people got the situation misconstrued. And so, nonetheless, they are now 3-7 on the season, but I think Lawrence is going to be just fine. Dolphins and Browns. Dolphins, they're just having on tilt offensively right now. I misspoke earlier. I said that they were 6-4. They're 7-3. They lead the AFC East right now at 7-3 by a half game because they haven't had their bye week yet. So they started this game a little slow. Cleveland jumped out to a lead initially, and then they just poured it on these boys. They scored 24 unanswered points. And 39, like, they're just hanging 30 plus on everybody's skull. Tua's playing exceptional football. Remember in the offseason, even in the camp, can Tua get the football to these speedy receivers? Is his arm big enough? Who gives a shit? Just get it up there. Tyreek Hill will find him. It was crazy. So, boss, we're sitting down having a conversation as I'm telling him that the Dolphins are running the Browns, because I had it on my laptop. We weren't watching it on the TV. And I'm telling him that the Dolphins are running these boys out of the building. And he says, you think he going to get 2,000 yards? And I'm like, who? We talking about Nick Chubb? He's like, nah, man. Tyreek Hill. I'm like, Tyreek Hill? What you talking about? So I go look up his yards. I'm like, shit, he's already got 1,100 yards. The next closest dude is at like 800. I'm like, and then in this particular game, I think he had another 100-yard game, if I'm not mistaken. No, he had 44 yards. So this was a modest game. They spread it around in this game. But I didn't realize Tyreek Hill, I'm about to go look him up. I think he might be at 1,200 yards now. 1,148 on the season. That's insane. They've only played 10 games. He's already got 1,100 yards. Now, keep in mind that there's 17 game season, and that's going to put a bit of an asterisk. I still don't care, but regardless of what he's doing, what Jalen Waddle is doing, what Tua is doing, what that offense is doing, what Mike McDaniel is doing with that Dolphins offense is just ridiculous. They've got it on tilt right now. They're the scariest offense in the league. That includes the Chiefs. They're the scariest offense. They're the most explosive because we know what Tyreek Hill adds. But then there's Jalen Waddle. Then there's Mike Gesicki. Trenton Sherfield is becoming a problem offensively. And then here's the kicker. They traded for Jeff Wilson from the 49ers. Jeff Wilson is a guy that Mike McDaniel knows all too well because of his time in San Francisco. So now he's got two former San Francisco 49er running backs. And, I mean, both of these guys are dynamic, explosive. They're speedsters. They've taken that. Jeff Wilson has taken that offense. Jeff Wilson Jr., just so you guys know, 17 carries, 119 yards and a touchdown in this game. Raheem Mostert, 8 carries, 65 yards. If they start running the football now with the pass game that they have, are you effing kidding me? The Dolphins are scary, man. The Browns are turning into what I thought. Remember, they had a chance early in the season to start the season off like 4-5-0, and they blew it, losing to the Jets in epic fashion, blowing a game against somebody else that they had a chance to win. They're now 3-6, and everything that I thought was going to come to fruition with them is starting to come to fruition, where by the time Watson is able to come back, they're not going to be close enough to making anything happen. They're going to lose to the Bills this week. They're going to be 3-7. By the time Watson is eligible to come off of his suspension, they're not going to be anywhere close to the playoffs. But clearly he's going to start because they want to get him in there, get him reps, and get him ready for next year. But Browns are now 3-6. The Dolphins are 7-3, and they are scoring points. Giants hosting the Texans. Giants get the win 24-16 over the Texans. The Giants are now 7-2. Texans dropped to 1-7-1 on the season. This is a very close game. We were watching this thing, and the Texans had an opportunity. It was 14-10, and I think they went for it on fourth down and got stuffed. I'm going to look up the play-by-play real quick because we were watching this thing, and it was really frustrating watching it because it was 21-10. It was crazy because the Texans go down, they get a touchdown. It's a beautiful drive capped off by a beautiful throw by Davis Mills in the end zone. Touchdown. It's 14-10. They're back in the game, and they literally go right back and give it up on the next possession. I think that was the possession. They drove it right down the field. 12 plays, 74 yards, touchdown, and took that lead and extended it back out to 11 at 21-10. And then they responded with a great drive. They throw a tight end screen to Jordan Akins, and he's got a blocker in front of him in O.J. Howard. And all O.J. Howard, actually, I think O.J. Howard was like parallel to him. Either way, perpendicular. He just needed to block the guy that was going to make the tackle, that ultimately made the tackle. And he's pointing at him. Like, I don't know what he was doing. He's pointing at him, and I don't know if he's telling Jordan Akins, hey, watch for this dude. Like, no, don't watch. Don't tell me to watch. Just go get him. If he gets in the way, Jordan Akins is going to score on a tight end screen from like 40 yards out. Instead, it goes down to like the 12-yard line. And then Davis Mills gets hit. He ultimately fumbles the football. And that, to me, was like the end of the opportunity. Or no, it was Dameon Pierce. Excuse me. I don't want to charge that to the wrong account. Dameon Pierce ran the football, 2nd and goal from the Giants' 10-yard line, and he fumbles the football. And at that point, I'm like, okay, they're not trying to win. They're not serious about winning this football game. And they ultimately lose the game 24-16. But this is the thing. This is the story of the Texans. The book is out. They can't stop the run. And so the Giants proceeded to give Saquon Barkley the football 35 times in this game for 152 yards. They ran it as a team 47 times, did the Giants, for 191 yards, 4 yards a pop. And that's the narrative on the Texans. Daniel Jones only threw the ball 17 times. Why? Because the Texans cannot stop the run. And the Giants took advantage of that. They win the football game and keep this storybook season going as they are now 7-2. And now with the loss on Monday night to Washington for the Eagles, it puts the Giants just one game back of the NFC East leading Philadelphia Eagles. New Orleans Saints at the Pittsburgh Steelers. J.J. Watt was back, and that's why I thought the Steelers could win this game. And they did win the game. 20-10. Not a lot to see here. Pickett was solid, didn't do anything. This is the biggest thing for Kenny Pickett. Just don't turn the football over. He didn't do that in this game, and that's huge for them. Najee Harris, 20 carries, 99 yards. Like, that's what they need out of the Steelers. Just the defense is solid. TJ Watt's back. They don't have Minkah Fitzpatrick back quite yet, but when they get him back and you got TJ Watt on the front end, you got Minkah Fitzpatrick on the back end, now you've got a formidable defense that's going to give you a chance. Just don't turn it over. Andy Dalton, couldn't say the same for him. Turned it over twice in this game. They were back-breaking interceptions as well. 2 of them in this game, which is what really started the conversation of, do we need to go back to Jameis? They ultimately decided to stick with Andy Dalton, but I got a feeling that at some point Jameis Winston's going to get back in there for the Saints because Andy Dalton is going to turn the football over some more. You might as well just go to Jameis. If you're going to have turnovers, might as well go with the guy with the higher upside, and that is Jameis Winston. So we'll see what happens there. But the Steelers get a win. You always feel like Mike Tomlin's this close to starting a little streak and finding a way back to 500. They're not going to be 500 this year. It's going to be his first losing season in his career as a head coach. But wins like this make you think, hey, could he get hot? Could they win 4 out of their next 5? And all of a sudden you look up, they're 7-7, with 3 games to go. I don't know. I don't think so, but we will see. Colts Raiders, man. Remember we talked about Jeff Saturday getting the job last week. That was one of the biggest stories in the news cycle last week. A lot was made of that situation. Another thing that quietly went under the radar was owner Jim Irsay saying that, Matt Ryan, if he's healthy, he's going to get back in there. Irsay has made it, clear that he thinks the world of Matt Ryan, thinks he's one of the best leaders he's ever been around. And so they were so definitive 3 weeks ago with Sam Ehlinger. He's going to be the guy moving forward. And 2 weeks later, they figured out, I guess, quickly, okay, Sam stinks. Whatever the case may be, they stick Matt Ryan back in there. Jeff Saturday's on the road. And it's funny, me and my dad were having a conversation about Vegas. And we're like, look, if they lose this game, we're not picking them anymore the rest of the season. And you looked up and it was 10-0 Indy. I'm like, you got to be effing kidding me. These guys really effing suck. And the, Raiders, to their credit, they hung around, gave themselves a chance. They ended up taking the lead 14-13. And I actually thought they were going to win the game. I never thought they were going to lose up until they actually gave up the touchdown late in the game to make it 25-20. Then I said, they're going to lose this game. They're not equipped with the clutch gene. They're not. Derek Carr isn't clutch. They're not clutch this season. They're going to lose this game. And they ultimately lost the game. The one thing that you couldn't allow to happen if you're Vegas is you can't let Jonathan Taylor go off on you. And he did. 22 carries, 147 yards, including a 66-yard touchdown run. It's the one thing that the Colts really haven't been able to do this season is run the football. And if they can run it, it takes pressure off of Matt Ryan. He was really efficient in this game, 21 of 28 for 222 and a touchdown. And, what's also fun to watch with the Colts is the emergence of Paris Campbell. This is a guy that can't stay healthy to save his life, but he's been healthier this year. And, get it in his hands. He scored the game-winning touchdown for them in this game. Get it in his hands, and he's dangerous. 7 catches, 76 yards, and the go-ahead score in this game. Devontae Adams finally had himself a good game. 9 catches, 126 yards, and a touchdown. But it was not enough in this game as the Raiders fall to the Indianapolis Colts at home, 25-20. And Jim Irsay was in his bag after this game, pointing his finger and wagging at everybody that chastised him for the move. Bro, it's just one game, okay? And what's my theory on head coaches that get canned in season and interim coaches? What's my theory? The first game is the most dangerous game. That team's going to play their asses off for that interim coach, and he's going to win that game. And that's what happened. We'll see what the Colts do moving forward. He may not win another game, or he may actually be exactly what the Colts need. We'll see. But they get it done. It was one of those things that was just wild. The Raiders suck. They're another one of these teams. Absolutely garbage can juice. They're 2-7 on the season. The Colts are now 4-5-1. Speaking of good football games, and Sunday was littered with them. Dallas at Green Bay. What a game. What a game this was. 31-28. And this is part of the reason I picked Green Bay. This went into my decision-making process. Watching them come alive offensively. I thought they maybe had figured something out. I was wrong. They still suck on offense. They're still not a good football team. But in this particular game, I had picked them to win. And I was playing with house money. I'd picked the Cardinals to win. I picked the Packers to win. And I was like, I had done so well in the first half of games. And I picked Carolina on Thursday night. Most people picked Atlanta. I was playing with house money. I was like, I don't need both of these games. I just need one of them. And Arizona was handling the Rams in LA handily. And so I was like, I don't need this Cowboys game. I want it, but I don't need it. It's house money. And I watched the Packers proceed to pick off the Cowboys bit by bit, piece by piece, tie that game up, send it to overtime, and ultimately win it in OT 31-28. They were down 28-14 in the fourth quarter. The Cowboys, it was this crazy stat that I saw that they showed during the telecast. The Cowboys were something like either 195-0 or 95-0. One of the two. All right. In games in which they were up 14 points at any point in the fourth quarter. They were 195-0 or 95-0. Either way, that streak has come to an end mercifully, as the Cowboys are no longer a dominant, well, they're still dominant, but they're no longer perfect in those situations. Essentially, what that says is they don't blow leads. They're up 14 in the fourth quarter. They're going to hold you and keep you at bay. They gave up 14 points in the final frame after scoring 14 points in the third quarter to take, because this game was tied at 14 at halftime, right? Like the Packers were going toe-to-toe with them. And then it looked like Dallas was exerting their dominance in the third quarter, and they were going to run away and hide. And then the Packers mount this crazy comeback. The rookie wide receiver, Christian Watson, goes off in the game for 3 touchdown grabs, including the 2 touchdowns to tie the game up. Goes to overtime. There's a shot of Rodgers cussing, absolutely giving it to Matt LaFleur, as he thought they were too conservative, trying to get to overtime. He thought they should have tried to win the game and be more aggressive in regulation. And they ended up punting the ball, and the game went to overtime. Dallas got the toss. They looked like they were going down for points, and then they went for it on fourth down. I thought they could have kicked the field goal. Their kicker has a massive leg. They elected to bypass the field goal and instead go for the touchdown. They go for it. It was definitely pass interference. You could be the most staunch Cowboys hater you want. That was pass interference. Anyway, Mason Crosby, that was a fourth down. Jair Alexander got there early. They didn't call it. Packers take over right around midfield, and they were able to do the rest, get in the field goal range. Mason Crosby kicks a 28-yard field goal. God bless and good night. Packers win 4-6. Season's not dead. They're alive and well until Thursday night, that is. And the Cowboys dropped to 6-3. And all of a sudden, a team that was right there in the mix in the NFC East is now finding themselves kind of falling behind now the Giants and the Eagles. Washington did them a favor by beating the Eagles to keep them within shouting distance, but they're at 6-3, so that's a big loss, and Prescott had a couple of picks in that game. Rudy Ford had 2 picks, both of the picks actually off of Prescott. CeeDee Lamb came to life. It's funny because CeeDee Lamb gets all this praise and credit. This is his first 100-yard game since 2020 against the Vikings. Like, I don't know what the obsession with CeeDee Lamb is. He ran behind Rudy Ford, the safety, on one of these interceptions. I don't know what the obsession with him is and why everybody – he's good, don't get me wrong. He ain't better than Terry McLaurin. You got to be shitting me. He ain't better than A.J. Brown. Anyway, Tony Pollard continues to carry the load while while Zeke Elliott is out. 22 carries, 115 yards. But Aaron Jones ran for 138 yards. I think the Cowboys gave up 200 yards rushing in this game, if I'm not mistaken. 207 yards rushing did the Cowboys give up in this game. So another team in this division that struggles to stop the run, and it hurt them in that game as they lose 31-28. Cardinals and Rams, a battle of backup quarterbacks. I felt so good about this game. Look, it didn't matter if Matthew Stafford started or not. I felt good about this game regardless because Colt McCoy was going to get the start. I felt good. And once I found out Stafford wasn't going to play, I felt even better about my pick of the Cardinals because they were going to start John Wolford and the Cardinals were going to start Colt McCoy. And I'm like, I got the better of the 2 backups in this game. And Colt McCoy came in and he was throwing dimes. He was comfortable. He was in control and command of that offense. He actually looked better than Kyler Murray. I'm not going to lie to you. Now, there's no controversy. Kyler Murray's healthy. You put him in the game. There's nothing to talk about. But he was in total command of that offense. 26-37 for 238 and a touchdown. He actually got hurt in this game. And I got worried for a second. He went to the blue tent, came out of this ball game. Cardinals offense went to shit. And then he came back into the game, stabilized the thing, threw a 4th down dime to wide receiver. What is his name? From Purdue. I don't know why I'm blanking on his name. Rondale Moore on a 4th down. He was outstanding. He kind of filled in that role of the receiver that they traded from Baltimore, Hollywood Brown. he kind of filled in his role. 9 catches, 94 yards. It was one of the most impressive performances I've seen from Rondale Moore in his career. DeAndre Hopkins, as I've mentioned, he makes a huge world of a difference for that offense. 10 catches, 98 yards. He gives them a fighting chance every single week. And the Cardinals, they really dominated this game. This game was not close. The Rams, they've been figured out. The league is caught up. Remember, there have been times where we felt like the league is caught up to Sean McVay. The league is caught up to Sean McVay. They're no longer a scary offense. No one fears what they do. They've got to make adjustments. And right now, they don't have the personnel to be able to do it. They've got a ton of injuries. They just lost Cooper Kupp for the foreseeable future. He's having surgery. They're in trouble. They may not win another game. I won't say the rest of the season, but I wouldn't be shocked if they only won 2 or 3 more games. This is when it sucks. When you don't have the assumption with the Rams, which is why they give away first round picks, is we're going to be good every year. So that first round pick is going to be at the back end of the first round. When you have one of these down years that you're not expecting, like I remember when we made the trade for Robert Griffin III and we went and won the division in 2012 in his rookie season. I'm thinking, hey, I don't care about them first round picks. F them first round picks. We about to be nice. And then the next year you're 4-12, and you're like, shit, that first round pick is like the second pick in the draft. You're like, damn, that shit hurts. That's where the Rams are heading. Like their first round pick is about to be beautiful for the Detroit Lions. Big win for the Cardinals. They're 4-6. They're not out of it yet. 3-6 for the Rams. They're dead. Dead, I tell you. And so that's Sunday. That's Slate Skatin, all right, right there. Let's go ahead and get to our final segment of the show, and that's our money picks of the week. I had some Thursday night leftovers. Let's get to these real quick before I get to my money picks of the week, and then you guys got some comments. I'm going to do this real quick. All right. I got some tacos from yesterday, but I'm not using tortilla shells when I eat my tacos now because I'm trying to be, really on my health kick, real health conscious. We're using romaine lettuce wraps for the tacos. So I got my romaine lettuce wraps. I got some leftover guac from Chipotle. I got my meat here. I'm ready to go. I put several tacos together. Let's get it going. All right. First, leftover. With last night's 4-yard touchdown toss, Derrick Henry is now 5 of 6 for 23 yards and 2 touchdowns in his career. So he's a threat in the red zone to throw the football. That's not the first time he's thrown a touchdown pass. We've seen him do it before. He did it again last night. And that jump pass, it's dangerous because you're expecting Derrick Henry to run that football, and then he jumps up behind the line and throws it. That's impossible to defend. It's impossible to ask a linebacker or a safety to not sell out for the run when you see Derrick Henry get the handoff. That shit is cheating. Next leftover. Damn, this is good. After last night's 17-point performance, the Packers are now averaging 18.4 points per game, which is good for seventh worst in the league. It's the worst point per game total for Aaron Rodgers through 10 weeks of football in his career. It's the 4th time in 6 games that the 4th time in the last 6 games, rather, the Packers have scored 17 points or less. They're struggling on offense. And we could blame the receivers. We could blame a number of different factors. Aaron Rodgers is stinking right now. Okay. He's not on the same page with his receivers. We laid this out last night when we broke down the game. There's a disconnect between he and every receiver not named Randall Cobb. And Cobb has been out for most of the season. He just came back last night after missing 4 games. So he's just getting on the same page with Christian Watson, and they've still got issues and kinks to work out. He throws him a quick hitch, just one of those plays where it's supposed to be a run. You see the corners off. He just raises up, throws in the ball, and Christian Watson falls down. And Rodgers is looking at him like, you son of a bitch. So there's just a lot going on there. There are all kinds of disarray, right? They're in all kinds of disarray and out of sorts. Next, leftover. With the win, Ryan Tannehill has improved his record to 37-16 as Titans starter. Tannehill, to me, has validated his first-round status. He was selected 7th overall by the Miami Dolphins in the 2012 NFL draft. I thought Washington, I did all my homework on Ryan Tannehill coming out of Texas A&M, former wide receiver, converted to quarterback. I thought we were going to draft him. Shanahan was prepared to take him, and then they made the move to go get Robert Griffin III, number 2 overall. I thought we were going to draft Ryan Tannehill. He fit Shanahan's style of offense, mobile quarterback, running that bootleg, come out of the other side, big arm, athletic, gave me Jay Cutler vibes. I thought we were going to take him, and he was up and down in Miami, gets a new lease on life in Tennessee, and he's been extraordinary for the Titans. They've won the division each of the last 3 years, made it to the AFC Championship game, 3 years ago. I think it was now 3 years ago. Were the number 1 seed last year in the playoffs. Are you kidding me? Tannehill's been outstanding for them. They're probably not going to win a Super Bowl with him, but I think he's validated his first round status. Similar to Alex Smith, by the time his career was over, he was worth a first round. Maybe not number 1 overall. Obviously, he wasn't better than Aaron Rodgers when you go back to that 2005 draft, but I think he solidified the fact that he was a winner and he was worthy of being a first round pick. Same thing I think could be said now for Ryan Tannehill. Next leftover. Look, there's a lot of things that you could say about Green Bay that's negative right now. I'm not going to go negative here. I'm going to give them a positive. You want a positive? Quay Walker led the Packers in tackles last night with 12. Okay. He's legit. He gives me Devin White vibes, right? He gives me elite athleticism, dynamic playmaker, linebacker vibes. Dude was all over the field last night. He's incredible to watch. I got those vibes from him in week 1 when they played the Vikings and lost, but I was like, damn, Quay Walker's everywhere. He wasn't the guy that I had a problem with. They had 2 first-round picks. And I love Devontae Wyatt. They should have drafted a receiver there. Now, maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe the same receivers were available from that pick to when they made the pick of Christian Watson in the 2nd round, but thought they should have taken a receiver in the 1st round. But that's no here nor there. Quay Walker was worth the pick at whatever it was, 22, 23, 21, wherever the hell they selected. He was well worth the pick. He's outstanding. Last leftover. Mike Vrabel is now 48-27 as Titans head coach, 2-3 in the postseason. Just a little bit of a side note. Treylon Burks posted career highs in targets, 8 last night, catches, 7 last night, and yardage, 111, which was also good for his first career 100-yard effort of his career in the league. I'm telling y'all, if they can get that kid to play the way he played last night, he's A.J. Brown Jr. That's all they need him to be. They don't need him to be anything more, anything less. That's why they drafted him. He looks like, plays like A.J. Brown, gives the same vibes, similar build, physicality, all of that good stuff. If they can get what they got out of him last night, their offense is complete and they're back to where they were last year. It was good to see Treylon Burks play the way that he played. His highest total in any game prior to last night, 55 yards. So that 111-yard game was an outburst for him. Now they need consistency, because what it did effectively was it made Robert Woods effective again. That offense looked so much different last night. It looked so much more vibrant, so much more dangerous last night. And just another aside, Todd Downing, the offensive coordinator who was getting so much love last night, and he deserved it. He called a whale of a ball game. Guess he really was feeling himself last night. He was like, shit, I'm on the same path as Matt LaFleur. He had a couple of really big games that one year he was in Tennessee, and he got a head coaching job. I might be next. He had a couple of brewskis, was feeling himself. He got arrested in Tennessee for a DUI and speeding. So, he's in trouble right now. Titans came out and said, hey, we have a standard to uphold in this community and as members of this organization. This shit is not cool. So he's got some explaining to do. Hopefully, and look, it's never cool to do that thing where you drive drunk, right? And you're speeding. We've seen guys in the league kill people, drunk people kill people behind the wheel of automobiles. So glad no one was hurt. He's got to get his shit together, though. Anyway, I digress. Treylon Burks looks like a problem. That could be big for the Titans moving forward. And Mike Vrabel, I'll just say this. A Giants fan got me right last night because I was talking Mike Vrabel for head coach of the year. And he's like, bro, Giants coach? Are you serious? Brian Daboll? We're 7-2. Did you see that come? Nope, you're right. I stand corrected. If I had a vote, Brian Daboll would be my head coach of the year. What he's doing with the Giants is nothing short of remarkable. Like, who thought the Giants would be here? Everyone thought the Giants would be at the bottom of the NFC East, one of the worst teams in the conference, and they're right now one of the best teams in the conference. So, but Mike Vrabel deserves credit, and I just want to continue to highlight that. He's been outstanding this year. They're 7-3 now after the win last night, and he just continues to get it done. Hasn't had a losing season as Titans head coach. 9-7, 9-7, 11-5. Last year, they were the number one seed. This year, they're 7-3. I think there was also a 10-6 in there as well. Whatever the case, I think 2 11-5s actually, if I'm not mistaken, and or 12-5 last year, which was good enough for the number one seed. 11-5 and 2 9-7s, and he's well on his way to another 12-5 this year if things continue to go in the direction that they're going. So with that said, let's get to the final segment of the show, my money picks of the week. I'll speed through these because I got some supers that I want to get to, that I need to get to, that I will get to. So give you my picks. I picked Green Bay to get me off to a good start. That didn't work. So I'm already behind the 8 ball. So I really need these picks to come through for the kid. I actually had an exceptional week, made up a ton of ground on those who were ahead of me in the winners and losers league. So I really need to pick up the slack from the loss on Thursday night. Last week was a great week, went 10-4 in a week where most people lost 6, 7, 8, upwards of 9 games because it was so crazy. I picked Green Bay. I picked Arizona. I picked Carolina. All of those picks came out, Steelers as well. All those picks came up huge for the kid. And I was sitting pretty last week. Need an encore performance. And so here are the picks that I'm hoping get me to that. A lot of people are riding the Bears train. Bears at Falcons. A lot of people riding the Bears train, and rightfully so. Justin Fields playing ridiculous football. They're scoring points. The Falcons looked embarrassing on Thursday Night Football. Marcus Mariota was doing shit that I didn't even know he was capable of doing, throwing the ball, falling backwards, upside down. He was doing stupid shit. They didn't run it well. They didn't stop the run. With the Bears coming to town, not stopping the run is not optional unless you're trying to get your brains bashed in. Everything is pointing in the direction of a Bears victory. That's why I'm taking the Falcons in this game. They're at home. Everyone wants to bury them and pronounce them dead after the loss to Carolina. This is the perfect week. They've had time to lick their wounds, extra time to prepare for the Falcons. Or the Bears rather. This is the type of team that they're made to defend. That's an athletic Atlanta Falcons defense, sideline to sideline speed. You run at them. You don't run away from them. Fields and company are going to try to run away from them. I think the Falcons are going to neutralize him enough to the point where they're able to win the game. Give me the Falcons at home. Eagles at Colts. Make this short and sweet. If Indy wants any chance to beat Philadelphia, they're going to need to stop the run. Eagles have beefed up their run defense, signing Linval Joseph and Ndamukong Suh. Look, those guys aren't going to move the needle a ton, but they are going to help them stop the run a little bit more effectively. The Eagles aren't going to just fall apart at the seams after the loss. It's one loss. They weren't going to go undefeated this season. Someone was going to beat them. It just happened to be Washington. Usually it's going to be a family member that's going to do you in. Either way, they're going to bounce back in this game. But if Jonathan Taylor can run the football like he did last week, the Eagles are going to be in for a hell of a fight, and they could easily lose this game, but I don't see it happening. Matt Ryan's a sitting duck. They're going to be able to get after him after stopping the run and forcing the Colts to have to throw the football. Give me the Eagles to bounce back on the road. Jets at the Patriots. The Jets, they have a mental block when it comes to the Patriots. When your coach starts telling you, hey, don't fall into the vortex with this team. When one bad thing happens, don't allow another bad thing to happen because you're stuck on the last bad thing that happened. When you start telling your team that, you know that you have a problem, and psychologically that team has an edge over you. When the Jets play the Patriots, Zach Wilson loses his mind and throws 8 picks every game. I don't know what the hell it is. They just don't play well against the Patriots. They won't play well against. They didn't play well against them earlier in the season. Zach Wilson threw 3 picks. They lost. and the Patriots field goaled them to death. Patriots are coming off of a bye week. The Patriots are going to win this football game. I'll stick with Belichick and company to continue to dominate the Jets. Give me the Pats. Washington at Houston. I've already given the prediction out already on my video. As soon as this is over, I'm going to upload it, but there's no secret. I expect Washington to beat the Texans, so I don't need to withhold my selection there. I got the Washington Commanders taking care of business in that game. I'll be disappointed if they don't. This is a game that, similar to the Eagles game, they're going to be able to run the football. I just told you that Saquon Barkley ran it 35 times. The Giants, the team, ran it 47 times. The blueprint is there. Execute the game plan. Go out, take care of business. Don't have that hangover from last week's game and the celebration and all that stuff. Don't let that linger into this game. The message has been concise and consistent all week. We're not sleeping on the Texans, and we're not going to overlook them. Go in there and take care of business. I think the Commanders will. Give me Washington. Rams at the Saints. The Rams are in free fall mode. I don't know if they get Matthew Stafford back from the concussion this week or not. I really don't think it matters because you don't have Cooper Kupp. So who are you going to throw? Van Jefferson? I'm supposed to be afraid of him? Yeah, the Saints don't have, necessarily the most dynamic offense themselves, but it's good enough. They're going to be without a key piece, though, in one of their emotional leaders in Cam Jordan. So that's interesting, but I don't think it's important. Why? Because the Rams suck. Give me the Saints. They're at home. That defense should be good enough to take care of the Rams. I'll take the Saints in that game. Browns at Bills. This game has been moved from Buffalo because of all the snow. Have you seen that scene? Oh, my God. The snow is ridiculous. They're talking about 6, not inches, feet of snow. That's crazy. And so they moved the game to Detroit. I don't even know how they're going to get out of Buffalo, to be honest with you. I don't know how they're going to get to Detroit. Anyway, if this game is played, Buffalo's going to win this game. They're pissed off, they're ornery, and the Browns look like food, and they're going to devour them a week before Thanksgiving. Give me Buffalo in that game to bounce back after losing to the Vikings. Panthers at the Ravens. Ravens are coming off of a bye week. They have one game in 23 days. They had a Thursday night game against the Bucks. They turned around, had a bye week. Then they come off the bye. Now they're playing the Panthers. They're feeling good about themselves. They're getting healthier. I just expect Baltimore to take care of this Panthers team that won in impressive fashion on Thursday Night Football versus the Atlanta Falcons last week. Try that shit against the Ravens. I'd like to see you try it with PJ Walker. Good luck with that. You're going to need it. I'll take the Ravens in that game. Detroit at the Giants. This is a scary game. I had to skip it and come back because while I know the Giants are game and I'm not sleeping on them and I know they're capable and this is how they've won all season long and people continue to doubt them, boy, this looks like a game that the Lions, if this game were in Detroit, I'd pick them. I don't trust the Lions to go on the road, however, and beat a team that's better than them. They beat Detroit, they beat Chicago, but that's family business. But I just, when they win, when they upset someone, it's going to be at home. It's not going to be on the road. Bad teams don't beat good teams on the road. Bad teams beat good teams at home. So as much as I want to pick Detroit and they're playing with confidence and they're smelling themselves and they think they can go in there and beat the Giants and the Giants aren't world beaters, the Giants are good enough to beat the Lions and they will. Give me the Giants in that game. Vegas Raiders and the Denver Broncos. I already told you I'm not picking the Raiders anymore this season. Denver sucks. This game is trash. I'm taking Denver. No explanation needed other than I'm never picking the Raiders again this season. I hate Denver. You know how I feel about them. They got me eliminated from the survivor pool, but you're choosing the lesser of two evils. I'll take the Broncos in that game. Dallas at Minnesota. Had to skip this game and come back because my dad is a Cowboys fan. Boss picked the Cowboys. I wanted to just go against him for the sake of going against him, just so I could root for Minnesota and get a win out of it. But my heart says that the Vikings are going to lose this game. I've been adamant from before they lost to Green Bay, after they lost to Green Bay. Dallas has success in Minnesota. They just know how to beat the Vikings. Last year, Cooper Rush went into Minnesota and won on a Sunday night. The year before that, Andy Dalton went into Minnesota and beat the Minnesota Vikings. I don't know what it is about Minnesota and this Cowboys team in Minnesota, but they can't beat Dallas. I think that trend continues. I'll take the Dallas Cowboys reluctantly to end the Vikings win streak at 7 games. Give me the Cowboys. Bengals, Steelers, rematch of week 1 where the Steelers turned it or the Bengals turned it over 87 times and was literally an extra point away from winning. It got blocked. The game went to overtime and the Steelers somehow magically won that football game. Cincinnati's been looking for revenge ever since that game. They're going to have an opportunity to get it, but TJ Watt is back. He got hurt in that game and now he's back. So they didn't get to take advantage of no TJ Watt. But they will get to take advantage of no Minkah Fitzpatrick, who was the thorn in their side in week 1. I think he had 2 of the picks in that game, and he knocked one of their receivers out of that ball game as well. So there's no Minkah in this game. Bengals are the better football team. They were the better football team in week 1, despite the turnovers. I think they bounced back and beat the Steelers, but I think this game is closer than people think. But I'm going to take Cincinnati in this game to win. Give me the Bengals. Chiefs at Chargers, Sunday Night Football. This should be fun. AFC West, family business. If these two teams said they ain't did it, then they ain't did it. But if they did, well, that's family business. And this is some quality family business. We got this one in week number 2 on Thursday Night Football, the very first Amazon Prime game ever. This was not supposed to be a Sunday night game. Remember, the Chargers played on Sunday night last week. They were not supposed to be a repeat offender, but they decided that the Steelers and the Bengals, which was initially the Sunday night game, this week, we don't want that shit. So they moved that one out of there and slid this one in, and it's a good choice. Now, the problem is the Chargers still could be without Mike Williams. They're going to be without Keenan Allen. And if he's throwing the ball to DeAndre Carter and guys like that, what do you want me to do? Jordan Palmer and DeAndre Carter isn't enough if you're asking me to pick the Chargers, which I think they're fully capable. Defensively, they know how to play the Chiefs. That's why it's family business. They played the Chiefs better than anybody in the league. Tennessee's a close second, but they just don't have enough on offense. So I will take the Chiefs, but I wouldn't be shocked if the Chargers upset them in this game. But give me the Chiefs. Niners at the Cardinals. This is NFC West family business. You know how to family do it. Yeah, we know how to family do it. And what this family business says is that the 49ers own the Cardinals. For whatever reason, you just know in when it comes to family business, shit doesn't make sense. I actually think the Cardinals can win this game, but the 49ers, they're a dangerous team. I think they're the most scary team in the NFC right now. If they stay relatively healthy, I think they're the wild card. They're the dark horse that could come off the pace and really, shake things up in the NFC. I've got my eye on them. And I think they continue to try to do the things that are going to be necessary for them to make a power move in their division and come back and take that division from Seattle. Give me the 49ers on Monday Night Football to defeat the Arizona Cardinals. So let's get to the comment section and all of the supers on the way out of the stream quickly. Miss Perry, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, congratulations, my friend, on episode 300 is a major accomplishment. Here's to the next milestone. Thank you so much, Condo P. Greatly appreciate you. 300 feels good to hit that milestone. Your mom's favorite player. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, is the NFC East fake due to the schedule? Hell, it's not fake, because what happens is teams start to develop confidence. Once you start winning, I already told you what winning does. It begets confidence. Confidence begets winning. And so no matter who you play, it starts out as, oh man, they're taking advantage of the schedule. But eventually these teams start to believe that they're really good, and that's dangerous because they're talented. So once you start believing that you're good, now it becomes they're really actually good. So yeah, the schedule definitely helps. I've already told you. You look at the 2 divisions that we were playing before the season started and look at how it's turned out. They're 2 of the worst divisions in football. The NFC South is right there, right? But still, the NFC North sucks. The Vikings may lock that thing up by week 11 or 12. And the AFC South sucks. And the Titans are the only good team in that division. Even though the Colts aren't trash, they're not good either. So, yeah, you could argue about that. We've already known this for a long time. But these teams are now gaining confidence so that the division is legit. Duncan Wright, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, You think Dallas can handle the Vikings receivers? It's going to be interesting because Justin, they asked Trayvon Diggs who his top 5 receivers were, and of course he's biased. He's got his brother number 1, but he left and he added CeeDee Lamb in the top 5, and he left Justin Jefferson off the list. Don't think that Justin Jefferson didn't hear about that and isn't going to try to make a statement on his ass. And so, do I think the Cowboys can handle their receivers? No, I don't, because one of their corners got hurt earlier in the season, and now Brown is in the game, and he's getting cooked on a weekly basis. And so I don't think they can handle their receivers, but we'll see. They're going to have to put Justin Jefferson. They're going to have to lock up Trayvon Diggs on Justin Jefferson. That's not optional. And I'm not sure if he can cover him by himself, but they're going to have to, because Brown can't cover him. That's for sure. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But if they don't get pressure on Kirk, that's going to be the key. If they get pressure on Kirk, they're going to have a chance. If they don't get pressure on Kirk, he's going to cook that secondary. Cook it. Juan Cedillo, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, "What up, Lou? What's up, John?" He says, "Congrats again on the win over Philadelphia. For Dallas, the next 2 weeks are critical. Winnable games, but if they lose to Minnesota and the Giants, likely fraudulent." Very big portion of the schedule. After the loss to Green Bay, you needed to win that game. You didn't. So it makes these next 2 games take on greater meaning, right? You can split these games, though. You just made it seem like they're either going to win both games or lose both games. They can split those games and be fine, right? Come out of that at 7-4. And, you would prefer, if you're going to lose one of these games, you would prefer it to be to the Vikings and not the Giants. But this is a big stretch, to your point. You've already beaten the Giants once. Now you got them on Thanksgiving to try to complete the sweep of them. That's huge in the division. If you're trying to chase down Philadelphia, you haven't played them yet, or you played them once this season. You got them at home. So things are looking good for you if you can find a way to beat Minnesota and then take care of business against the Giants on Thanksgiving. But one at a time. Vikings are going to be a tough test for you, and it's going to be interesting to see how you handle it. Rosario Satara Pulowski, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, "Are your eyes doing better? Sent you an email a week ago of techniques I use to reduce eye pains from the light. Congrats on 300. Proud of you." Yeah, I read your email. My eyes are doing fantastic. Thank you for the tips. They were wonderful. I should have sent you an email. I'm so bad at that. I will read a message, and it's almost like I think the person knows that I've read their message, and I don't send anything acknowledging that I've read it. I'm so sorry about that. But yes, I read it. And I actually implemented some of them. So thank you so much for that. Really do appreciate that. And thank you so much. And I know you're working on your second book. And so congratulations on publishing the first. And hopefully things are going well for the second book as well. Thank you so much for the support, as always. Kevin, the PRF, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, "Happy 300. So you predict Rodgers or pull a Brady 2.0 and put a contender over the top?" That could happen. Rodgers could be done in Green Bay. They could trade him away, get a haul for him, start Jordan Love, because this was the year that I thought if it was going to happen, it would be happening now, but they signed him to that extension. So I said, well, that's dead. But, things are starting to get rocky out there. Maybe Rodgers is like, you know what? This is not what I signed up for. Even though he knew it was a young nucleus of receivers, it's really gone off the rails, a little bit. Maybe it could be Brady 2.0. Maybe he could end up somewhere else and could put a team over the top. We'll see. I don't know if they're willing to give up on Rodgers. I don't know if he even wants to leave. He could just retire. Remember, he was talking about going and hosting Jeopardy. Like, he's an eccentric guy. Maybe he says, I don't want to play anywhere else. But I still think he wants to play football. I think he loves football. And so we'll see. It's a really interesting dynamic that's brewing in Green Bay, one that you will watch closely this offseason, that is for sure. Andre Robinson, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, who writes, "Salute, bro. I'm loving our division. Cowboys fan, family business, and bloodshed to the end. You know what it is. Ain't nothing like family business, man. I love it, love it, love it. I told you I can't stand any of the teams, but collectively as a group, I love the division, and I ride for the division. All right. I can't stand the teams in it, but I love the division, And that's always how I've always been, and that's how I'm always going to be. We clapping Eagles cheeks. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, Curl number 1, Defoe number 2, McCain number 5 in the NFL. Is this real? You know, I'm not a PFF guy, but they've been playing well. So I'm not shocked by that. But I don't like to just use the numbers when it fits a narrative that I want it to fit. I'm not that guy. You know, I don't love PFF, so I never use their statistics, but I've seen it. It's out there. It's circulating. And those guys have played well. We've watched them, so we know that it's probably legit. The Black Al B, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. The Black Al B writes, what it do, Lou? What's going on, Black Al B? He says, man, the color hate don't look good on you, LOL. I keep telling all the non-believers that this ain't Zimmer's Vikings anymore. I'm not hating on the Vikings. I'm just telling you there's been a lot of luck going on with these boys. And there's nothing wrong with luck. A wise man once told me luck is the meeting of, you know, preparation and timing. Like you prepare, you know, you're in a position to accept the luck when it happens. Preparation meets timing. And you guys have been ready to accept the luck that has come your way. You've made some of your breaks too. But don't get me wrong. I don't think that you're as good as your record suggests, but we'll see. Y'all got 7 more games to prove some, you know, people like myself. You're 8-1. So you've got 8 more games to prove people like myself wrong. Okay. 8 more games to prove people like me wrong. Because I don't believe. We clapping Eagles cheeks. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, I like to put my Texas cinnamon rolls in the oven, microwave, and enjoy it with a nice cold glass of Sunny D. Let's go, y'all. We clapping big Texas cheeks. I love Texas cinnamon rolls when I was, before I was vegan. Loved them in the microwave. That was great. Not with a cold glass of Sunny D. I'd rather drink the purple stuff. But that's just me. Got another super chat. This one is from Commando. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, happy 300. This is Sparta. I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much for the super chat and the support. Can't thank you enough. So that's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on episode 300. Got everything in that I wanted to get in, so I feel good about that. Looking forward to chopping it up with you guys next week. Hopefully we won't have to condense everything into one episode, but we got it done, and I feel good about that. Enjoy your weekend. We'll be back on Sunday breaking all of it down, Washington and the Sunday night game, and that's going to be a dandy. Chiefs at Chargers, all that good stuff. And hopefully we'll get to all of the games earlier in the week when it's still pertinent. But in any event, enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you on the other side. God bless and good night.
LouieTeeNetwork.